You know what's hilarious about my videos comment sections? All the people who keep saying, not me though, or I'm built different because they think they could survive all these horror movies. Fun fact, you're not built different. Because after watching thousands of horror films, I've found 10 movies where that confidence can get you killed faster than you can type like and subscribe. So why don't you like and subscribe? Because if you do, you might just survive these movies. Let's start with Deadstream, where this genius decides to live stream himself spending the night in a haunted house. And before you say, I just leave when the first ghost shows up, my brother in Christ, this man literally can't leave because he's worried about his viewer count. Imagine your last words being, don't forget to smash that like button, and then you get axe murdered by a ghost. But here's why you would be absolutely screwed. First, we've got Mildred Pratt, a ghost who's been perfecting her jump scares since before your grandparents were born. You think you're tough because you've watched all of Paranormal Activity without flinching? Cool. Mildred can possess objects, summon an army of ghouls, and turn your own streaming setup against you. Second, you're trapped in Death Manor, a house that's basically been marinating in evil for decades. Every room is a potential death trap, and I don't mean that in like a fun escape room kind of vibe. But here's the real kicker. Mildred doesn't just want to kill you. She wants to turn you into content. She's basically a kick clip farmer, except just a little bit more demonic, but not too far, because have you seen some of their content? It's pretty fucked up. Imagine being possessed and then you turn into a viral clip as bad as Jack Doherty crashing his Lamborghini. Yeah, that's a pretty bad fate. But if you think dying for views is bad, wait until these YouTubers decide to explore an underwater haunted house. Spoiler alert, it's not just the water pressure that's gonna crush you down there. The Deep House takes everything terrifying about haunted houses and adds water, because apparently regular ghosts weren't wet enough. Two YouTubers decide to explore a submerged house in France, proving that content creators will literally die before getting a real job. I would know. I am one. Now I know what you're thinking. Just swim away. Sure, genius. Let me break down why that big brain energy isn't saving you. First off, you're underwater with limited oxygen. That's like playing a horror game with a stamina bar, except when it runs out, you actually die. And no amount of scuba certification you got that one time you went on a vacation in Cancun, yeah, that's not gonna help you here. But wait, it gets better. The house belongs to the Montanak family. I think that's how you say that, but tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Basically, that's Satan's favorite house flippers. These lovely folks were into child sacrifice and dark rituals before TikTok made that cool. Now, they live in an underwater haunted house, and they're not interested in selling. Now, the house itself is a maze of death. Imagine being trapped in an escape room, except it's flooding. The walls are literally closing in, and oh yeah, every wrong turn means you're burning precious oxygen. That's assuming the undead family doesn't get you first. They've had decades to perfect their underwater jump scares, and let me tell you, they're not just gonna pop out and say boo. Although that would be pretty fucking scary. I would be terrified and shit my pants. And for all you experienced divers out there feeling cocky, these ghosts don't care about your perfect buoyancy control or your 5-star fucking diving rating thing you got on that one Airbnb trip with your girlfriend that you no longer talk to because she cheated on you with your cousin. The Montanaks can possess you faster than you can say decompression sickness. Imagine becoming a ghost puppet while wearing full scuba gear. That's not just death. That's embarrassing. The cherry on top, every survival instinct you have is working against you. Panic, you fucking die. Swim too fast, you fucking die. Try to hold your breath, believe it or not, you fucking die. It's like the world's worst swimming lesson, taught by murderous ghost children instead though. Speaking of everything turning against you though, let's talk about Unfriended, where hitting unfriend becomes a matter of life and death. Basically, Unfriended takes your fear of getting tagged in unflattering photos and cranks it up to homicidal. Remember Laura Barnes? Me neither, but she's like that friend who got way too invested in your group chat drama. Except now that she's dead and she has admin privileges over your entire Facebook account. Just turn off your computer. Yeah, that's like saying you can stop cyberbullying by just turning off your computer. Oh wait. Anyways, yeah, because that worked out so well when you tried to quit social media last time. Basically, Laura's ghost has better tech skills than you have. She's basically Mark Zuckerberg with a vendetta and is evil. Wait, these jokes are getting a little too meta, I feel. Like, we need to talk. Is the world okay? Think about it though. She can access every embarrassing selfie, every cringy DM you sent to that girl at 3 a.m., and every Google search history that you thought you deleted. That would be terrifying. So the real nightmare, you can't log out, you can't shut down, and you definitely can't call your mom. Laura's turned your online life into the world's deadliest group project and everyone's getting a failing grade permanently. But here's where it gets personal. Laura doesn't just want to kill you. She wants to expose every single digital skeleton in your closet first. All those messages you sent trash talking about your best friends, those questionable photos you swore you deleted, the playlist full of nothing but Baby Shark remixes. Yeah, it's all coming out. Death by embarrassment is just the appetizer at this supper. And for all you I don't even use social media people out there, first of all, you're watching this video on YouTube, so I think you're lying. Second, Laura's got more ways to reach you than your mom trying to tell you about a Facebook post you saw with a minion in it. Mom, they're not fucking funny. Please stop. Your printer, your smart fridge, even your Ring doorbell, they're all just weapons in her arsenal now. But the worst part, your entire death is going to be live streamed, and the comment section will be debating whether it's fake or not, and probably full of hate comments because the internet sucks. They'll be mean to you just for existing. Like, I get I'm butt ass ugly, but you don't have to be mean to me in the comment sections just for existing. What did I do to you? Basically, you're gonna be ratioed until you're dead, which is pretty embarrassing. But do you think a vengeful digital ghost is scary? Wait until you meet someone who's been documenting their son's descent into darkness. And now that sounds really poetic and spooky, but it's pretty bad. Mom, not your mom, not my mom, but like Mother of Monsters, that's the name of the movie. It basically takes your typical, he's just going through a phase teenager and turns it into a psychological nightmare. Abby's convinced that her son Jacob is planning something horrific, so she turns their house into the world's most depressing reality TV show. Spoiler alert, this isn't going to end with a heartwarming Dr. Phil episode. Now, before you start typing, I could take a teenager, let me stop you right there, tough guy. Jacob isn't your average, I hate homework and I hate my life because my dad took my Xbox teenager. He's what happens when Kevin McAllister grows up wrong and decides Home Alone was actually a horror tutorial. Basically, this kid is fucked up, and that's the real terror. You can't just ground him or take away his phone. Jacob's playing 40 chess while everyone is playing fucking Candy Crush. He knows exactly how to appear normal to others while making his mom look like she's the crazy one. It's like gaslighting, except that you downloaded the DLC for gaslighting, just like my ex-wife Becky did. Why did you do that? Why did you take the kids? Think about it. You're trapped in a house with someone who's systematically destroying your sanity. Every normal teenage outburst could be genuine angst or carefully calculated manipulation. Is that door you swear you locked actually unlocked, or is he just messing with you? Did your keys really go missing, or are you going crazy? It's like living in a true crime documentary, except you're the person viewers will later say they should have seen the signs. Can you imagine being in a true crime documentary and you become the embarrassing one? Like, let's say you have a story, it goes viral on like a Netflix documentary or something, and everyone says, bro, you are so dumb. How did you not see this coming? Again, that's like getting post-mortem ratioed, and you didn't even do anything wrong. You just had a natural inclination to trust people, just like I do. Hopefully this isn't my fate. Anyways, here's the kicker. Nobody believes Abby. The authorities think that she's paranoid. The family thinks that she's overreacting, and social media would probably just turn it into another Karen meme. You're completely alone with someone who's either seriously disturbed or just really committed to winning worst son of the year. Either way, it sounds like hell. Like, if you want kids, don't watch this movie. Because if you watch this movie, you're going to be booking a vasectomy like in 5 minutes. This is terrifying. The scariest part of this movie isn't even the violence. It's the waiting. Knowing something's wrong, but having to act normal. Like you're starring in the world's most stressful improv show, and your only audience, someone who's taking notes on your every weakness. But if psychological warfare with your own kids sounds rough, wait until you meet some Yahtzees who make family drama look like a picnic. Just to be careful with YouTube, I'm gonna say Yahtzee, like the board game, but you know what I mean, because this movie is a little messed up, so this is just a warning right now. I'm not actually talking about Yahtzee, but you're smart enough to understand the context, because Green Room is about to redefine the worst band gig ever. Basically, this movie takes your worst work story ever and cranks it up to, oh god, oh fuck no. A punk band walks into a Yahtzee bar. That sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? Well, the punchline is murder, and nobody's laughing, except maybe Patrick Stewart, who's having way too much fun playing the world's scariest skinhead leader. Just fight your way out, my brother in Christ. This isn't your high school parking lot scrap. These aren't your standard I've learned to fight from YouTube tough guys. We're talking about a highly organized group of Yahtzee fans who've turned murder into literally business. Your one karate class from 2019 isn't going to cut it. Let's break down why you're absolutely done for. First off, you're dealing with Darcy Banker, a man who runs his hate group like it's a Fortune 500 company. Imagine if your most ruthless corporate manager decided to trade their spreadsheets for machetes. That's Darcy. mercy. He's not just gonna kill you, he's gonna optimize the process and save on his business expenses. You're trapped in their home base, outnumbered, outgunned, and their attack dogs make Cujo look like a chihuahua in a sweater vest. The closest thing to backup you've got is your band's Twitter followers. But guess what? You're not a popular band. You have 50. They're not gonna help you. But here's the real kick in the teeth. These guys are patient. They're not just gonna run in all stormtrooper style with bad aim. They'll wait you out, pick you off one by one, and probably file the paperwork afterwards. And the cherry on top, your punk rock attitude and DIY spirit aren't gonna save you here. Throwing a mic stand isn't quite the same as facing down a bunch of killers who've turned their venue into a slaughterhouse. This isn't a mosh pit, it's a meat grinder. But if organized Yahtzee fans seem bad, wait until you meet Jack. Oh boy, this is a dark movie. A man who turns murder into performance art. Hope you're ready for the world's deadliest TED Talk. And this is another warning, this movie is incredibly messed up, so just, you've been warned. The house that Jack built introduces us to the world's most pretentious serial killer. Imagine if your college philosophy professor decided to trade lectures for murder. Jack doesn't just want to kill you, he wants to turn your death into an avant-garde art installation. And trust me, you don't want to see this piece of art. I'd spot the serial killer right away. Sure you would, Sherlock. That's why Jack's out here collecting victims like they're Pokemon cards. He's not your typical hiding in the bushes killer. He's the guy who'd correct your grammar while stabbing you. Think American Psycho, but with a PhD in making you regret ever accepting help from a stranger. Here's the thing about Jack. His OCD isn't a weakness, it's his superpower. While you're leaving fingerprints everywhere like a toddler with finger paint, he's turning crime scene cleanup into an Olympic sport. CSI wouldn't find evidence. They'd probably give him a cleaning contract. And just when you think you've got him figured out, he hits you with a lecture about architecture and divine geometry. I'm not joking. You're not just getting murdered, you're getting murdered with the side of existential crisis. It's like having a TED Talk where the big reveal is your own mortality. But the scariest part, Jack's so good at appearing normal that he could probably get hired as a motivational speaker. He's not hiding in the shadows, he's giving presentations about them. He literally has an entire relationship with a family as a kid during this entire movie and turns on them in a whim. Basically, this guy is a metaphor for all the powerful people we have in the limelight in the real world. What if they're actually like this? We don't know. They're that perfect. Basically, your gut instinct isn't going to save you because he's already calculated exactly how to bypass it. Oh, and if you think you're special enough to be the one that gets away, sorry to break it to you, but Jack's got higher standards for his art than my Instagram has for its own selfies. You're not outsmarting someone who turns murder into a multimedia presentation with citations in MLA format. But if a philosophical serial killer sounds rough, wait until you meet Count Orlok, because this Nosferatu is about to make your dating app horror stories look like rom-coms. Finally, we're at the newest horror movie out there. We've got 2024's Nosferatu, where Bill Skarsgård proves that being a centuries-old vampire is basically just toxic dating taking its final form. Count Orlok isn't your sparkly Twilight vampire or your moody interview with the vampire type. He's what happens when you swipe right on someone who's been perfecting the art of being a horrible person since before electricity was invented. Just use garlic and crosses. My dude, this isn't your grandma's Dracula. Orlok actually kind of is your grandma's Dracula because it's a remake, but just don't think about it. Orlok's part of the Solomonary. These are ancient black magic users who make your local hot topic witches look like kindergartners with finger paint. He's not just going to hypnotize you. He's going to rewrite reality itself while giving you the worst case of the plague you've ever had. Speaking of which, you know how we all got really good at avoiding diseases during COVID? Yeah, that's cute because Orlok spreads the plague like it's his social media strategy. He's not just killing you, he's killing your whole town. And no amount of fucking essential oils is going to help you this time, Karen. But here's the real nightmare fuel. Orlok doesn't just lurk in the shadows. He is the shadows. Think you're safe because you bought some fancy motion sensor lights? Congratulations, you just gave him more ways to make shadow puppets with your soul. He's been practicing his craft since before your ancestors figured out which berries wouldn't kill them. And don't even get me started on his ability to shapeshift. At least other movie monsters have the decency to pick one terrifying form and stick with it. Orlok's out there treating his appearance like a Snapchat filter. Is that a cat in your window, or is it an ancient vampire who's about to turn your blood type into his favorite beverage? So there you have it, 10 movies where your built different energy gets you killed in spectacular faction. If you think I'm wrong, explain why down in the comments below, and then like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. And if you think you could really survive more horror movie monsters, click this video on screen now to watch my other videos on this topic.